I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:30. Roll call, William Johnston.
Here.
Thomas Graffinino.
Here.
Lynn Colligan.
Here.
Lisa Kreckler.
Here.
Phil Diorio is here. Also present, we have Tim Hill, representing the ZBA as our attorney tonight. First order of business is to review and approve the January 15th, 2025 minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have two resolutions, and the first is 3 Locust Avenue, Cummings. I'm going to step out of the room because I've recused myself from this application. The applicant is a friend of mine.
So this is actually, we're going to vote to reopen the hearing based on our last conversation at our last meeting. Actually, Tim, should I be making the motion, or do I need to ask the board for a motion in a second and then roll call?
Yeah, ask for a motion
Okay.
in a second. And just to be clear, this is for reopening. So this is, it's not a rehearing. There's a, provision of the town law specifically for the purpose of a rehearing that contemplates you're reconsidering a decision you've already made. This is just to reopen the hearing that was previously closed prior to any decision being made.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion to reopen the hearing on the application of Cummings 3 Locust Avenue?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. And then we will do a roll call. William Johnston?
Yes.
Tom Scrafnino?
Yes.
Lynn Colligan?
Yes.
Lisa Kreckler votes yes as well. Motion passes.
We had a date for that?
Scheduled for March 26th.
25th or 26th? 26th.
Yeah, thank you, Tom.
Okay.
Check that date. Yes, that's, yep.
26th.
We have another hearing on February 26th. It's weird that it's the same.
Yeah, it is weird.
That is weird.
I don't have very often.
Next up is the resolution for 33 Tuttle Drive, Rolfe. Christina, will you read us a synopsis of the resolution, please?
Application by David and Tiffany Rolfe for variance and special permit at 33 Tuttle Drive, Shelter Island, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map 700-12-1-3. Basis of the application, as indicated by the building inspector's notice of disapproval, is to renovate and make additions to a pre-existing non-conforming single-story primary dwelling and single-story accessory structure. The applicant requests area variances for relief from the requirements of the Town Code Section 133-6B5A for front yard setback and 133-6B5B1 side and rear yard setback, and a special permit pursuant to Town Code Section 133-23A for the increase of the nonconformity. The resolution of the board is to approve the request for an area variance of 1.8 feet to allow a 38.2-foot front yard setback where 40 is required. Approve the request for an area variance of 12.5 feet to allow a 12.5-foot side yard setback where 25 feet is required. And approve the request for an area variance of 7.8 feet to allow a 17.2-foot side yard setback where 25 feet is required, as well as the special permit for same is reflected in the site plan and drawings by Sherman Engineering and Consultant PM dated June 8, 2023, and last revised September 12, 2024.
Have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, you got to make a first and second on that.
Yeah.
I'll make the second.
Okay, all in favor? Let's have a roll call vote.
William Johnson, third, yes.
Thomas Graffinino, yes.
Phil Diorio, yes.
Lynn Colligan, yes. Lisa Kreckler, yes.
The motion passes. Next up, we have We have two applications tonight. The first is 1 Pandion Road. And do we have someone here to present? Oh, Christina, sorry, can you read the notice?
Hearing on the application of Joshua Greenwell, owner of 1 Pandion Road, Shelter Island, New York, a corner lot which is located in Zone C, Nearshore Overlay District, and is more specifically described on the Suffolk County Tax Map as 700-16-1-5.2. The applicant wishes to construct 5,288 SFLA primary dwelling and 2,193 SFLA accessory sleeping structure, and is seeking area variance from Shelter Island Town Code Section 133-10B6 to exceed 6,000 SFLA. No correspondence was received.
Please state your name for the record.
Becky Hubbard from Toomey, Latham, Shea, Kelly, Dubin, Cordero, Riverhead. Here on behalf of the applicant, 1 Pandion Development LLC, for this property. As indicated in our application, the narrative submitted with that, just to give a little bit of background of this property and this application, our client was initially denied for a building permit in 2023. And at that time submitted an application for a special permit under the code at that time. Before the permit could be granted or ended up proceeding in that way, the moratorium was put into place, and people think we had the local law 3-2024 had been ratified last year. So under the new standards, we've applied here into that. I just want to say it's not a new application in that way. We're just following procedure. We've been kind of caught up in the shuffle bit. Just to speak briefly to the project itself. So at that time, previously, the request had been for a larger exceedance and has been decreased in this application, merely because of the size of the dwelling and it being constructed on the property. To explain it a little better, because it does get a little bit using at least.
Can I ask you to speak up? I'm just having a little bit of a hard time here.
Sure, just to go through, I apologize, I didn't mean to city attorney, but just.
No, it is loud.
So the current dwelling as exists is 5,741 square feet. And the accessory structure that we're here for is 1,242 square feet.
How much, Jim?
1,242 square feet. In the C zone, 5,999 square feet is allowed, which leaves us with around 258 square feet that would be of right in that accessory structure, and then the additional 984 that we're here for requesting. And all that we're requesting is to condition this existing unconditioned structure to allow for just protection from any moisture, mold types of effects that could occur from just the general weathering and climate / seasonal issues that could occur for the structure. It will not have any sleeping quarters. We do have the capacity for a bathroom in the structure. It's located next to the pool house, next to the pool. So it can be referred to as a pool house or recreational space. The main issue that occurred for the applicant when the primary dwelling was being constructed, initially they thought they would have a basement in that structure. They are located on the water. After excavation began, it became clear that the water table was higher than they expected, and this still made it possible to have the basement there.
But was the basement planned as finished space then from the beginning?
It was.
And did they have a permit then for the square footage that would have been involved for that then?
So at the time when they submitted, they were denied at that time, but that was before they even, say this differently. So when they applied in 2023, they had already realized the basement was a no-go. So they submitted that larger scale house at the time, and then scaled the house down, decreasing the exceedance for the SFLA. But because of, sorry.
No, go ahead.
But because of the basement issue, they would hope to condition this rec room structure that they have next to the pool at this time.
Okay.
Of note, the neighbors to this property had received, a permit back prior to the change in code, of an exceedance of, I believe, at least 3,000 square feet. I know obviously the policy and the code has changed since that time, but, it is a very similar property and location to such an application.
And how big is the lot, ma'am?
It is 3.36 acres.
3.36?
Mhm.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the use of the space that you're looking to condition?
Sure, it would just be for, like I mentioned, recreational space, no bedrooms requested, no habitable space in that way. It really is just conditioning it to protect it from, the issues that would occur during the summer when it's extremely humid. And the client has looked into other alternatives, maybe fans, that kind of thing. It'd be clear it wouldn't work in this situation.
And is there a kitchen in the space? There's no cooking services?
No.
No refrigerator? I see a bar with a sink listed.
So,
Or am I looking at the wrong thing?
no, so what we submitted at that time was it was denied back then. So there's no bar in there right now. So it wouldn't,
But is this proposed that you want to put
no,
a sink in there? So do you have updated plans that reflect that change?
we submitted what was denied at the time. Because we're supposed to just, and we can submit the updated plan, but
That's how it typically is.
yeah.
It's just hard for us to make a determination if we don't have the accurate
Right.
proposal in front of us.
I understand it, of course. It's not our intention to mislead you or anything, just if that's what we're required to do, is submit what was denied at the time because it was so long ago before, I guess probably before it was completed. But yes, we can submit the plans.
I mean, this is a completely different application to what you were doing before, is that correct?
You mean for the structure?
Yeah. Or is this just the same exact thing,
It's the same.
except for the sink?
Bar.
Well, so I guess like I said, I'm not trying to mislead you, but what's there currently is there is no bar there. So all we're applying right now is to condition it. There's not gonna be any additional.
The plan doesn't reflect, the plan that is submitted here doesn't reflect what you're saying.
So I guess the plan changed between the denial and ZBA submission.
Right, but then at this point, then we need a new plan.
Of course, understood. We can, I guess at this time, I would request that we have additional, we allow it to be left open to submit that.
Excuse me?
We would allow it to be left open to submit that.
Yeah, let's continue on and see where we wind up here at the end of the night.
Okay,
All
understood.
right?
Looking also at this, where is the air conditioning and all of that located? I don't see it on the plans. You're conditioning, or you're installing an AC unit?
So it'd be, you mean on the survey?
Yeah.
It would be to the south of the building, but next to the pool.
And does the board want to request plans that reflect that as well?
Yeah, definitely.
Since you are here for conditioning the space, we need to know the full plan for conditioning it.
Understood.
Is there anything else like generator or anything else that's not reflected on the plan?
No, I don't believe so. But when I will confirm that there's no additional generator required for the commissioning.
Anybody have any questions?
I just say, she's gotta come back and have everything
So
on the map.
I think maybe we leave this open here.
Yeah, I think so.
Ask that we get updated plans that accurately reflect what you're asking for here. And I don't know, when can we put this back on, Christina? Do you have a thought on a date?
I have a busy few months, so yeah, I guess we can try to continue next month.
In February or March? I think maybe March is a better, 'cause I think February we're going to be very busy.
I'm here in March for another appearance as well. So.
Okay. Maybe we do it in March?
Yeah, March is getting pretty busy too. February, we have 2 at this point.
Or more?
Yeah.
Someone else from our firm will be here in February as well, though. So.
It's, I'd rather push it to March, I think. It's, I think we have a couple of potentially big events in February.
Whatever you think.
Yes?
I think so. I think you're right,
Okay.
John.
So let's get the dates here right.
Oh, 19, 26.
So we're going to leave this open, adjourn it until,
I think there is some public that wants to speak to this as well.
okay, sure. All right, let's, if you're done for now, we're going to let the public speak, chime in here, and then we'll take care of the sort of getting it set up for the next go.
Or-
If you'd like to. Is that your most comfortable spot? Okay, Christina, is there somebody who has a hand raised here?
Mr. Kriegel asked for a word in advance meeting.
Okay, starting my video as requested.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yes, my name's David Kriegel. I am a neighbor of the property and have been watching construction there carefully pretty much for the past 5 years since they started work on down the street at Pandion. And I have a few questions, and I don't want to weigh in on the merits or demerits of the architecture. I'm an architect myself, full disclosure. I design modern buildings, so I really have no objection to the appearance of the house. Starting at the beginning of the application, which I've read 3 or 4 times, from the first page, I have questions. It says that Josh resides at 1 Pandion Road, which might make one think that is or is planning to be a resident there. And since the house started construction, it went on the market. As far as I know, it's still on the market for close to $15 million. So it's not, I don't think it's been his intention to reside there. He's a developer. He's a real estate professional. So in consideration of this, it's tough to take the position that he needs the 6 bedrooms or he needs the large accessory building to accommodate his family and relatives. It's to make it easier to sell the property. And please correct me if I'm wrong in that. This is a development project. So presumably he's a real estate professional. He knows how to look at a site and look at water table. And from the beginning would have understood both in terms of geotechnical investigations and application to Suffolk County Health Department where the water table was. So to say that he was so surprised that there was a high water level and he couldn't build a full basement, I find hard to swallow. And the drawings that are part of this application for the main residence don't show a basement at all in any case. They show a crawl space. And the elevation of that crawl space is 4'7". The Cocos Harbor is a VE zone. You all know the FEMA maps with a base flood elevation of 10 feet. So I think anyone would probably assume that a basement would have to be built carefully and waterproof carefully if they expected to use it. Clearly, that's possible. We build buildings all the time with deep basements below the water table, schools, multifamily housing, and it's feasible. It's expensive, but it's feasible. And I'm curious why what they call the barn as the accessory building has a full basement on the drawings. Do you know, this is addressed to the attorney, do you know if they built that with the full basement?
They did not.
So that has a crawl space as well. So those drawings should really be amended to reflect what was actually built. But I'm curious if he was at all questioning whether he would get approval to condition the accessory building. Why didn't he simply reduce the size of the main building to 5,000 feet and build 1,000 feet of an accessory building? Instead of, seems to me, assuming he would finally get approval to build essentially 20% larger than the code allows. It's a question to me. In terms of some specifics of the application, I felt I didn't agree with all of them. For instance, in the EAS question number 6, he says the building claims to be consistent with the predominant character of the existing built or natural landscape. Now, character is very subjective, and whether it's a modern house or a traditional house is really not what I'm addressing. But that section of Burns Road, you can add up the square footage of my house and 3 other houses, and they would fit inside his primary dwelling. We're, at 5,000 feet, adding them all together. I'm not saying everyone needs to live in a 1,000 square foot house, but to say that a 6,000 foot house is within keeping and character of the surrounding neighborhood is I think, a stretch. They claim that the barn is innocuous in nature. Again, that's subjective, but it's considerably higher than the primary house. Granted, one has a flat roof and one has a pointed roof. They're both within the code maximum, but it's not innocuous in nature. They also say that a 12,000 or 1,200 square foot barn is a customary accessory, but there are no similar accessories on Burns Road. In fact, I can't think of a 1,200 square foot accessory building anywhere near the Cartwright area. I mean, that's a pretty, in fact, it's larger than my house, but that's neither here nor there. They claim it's a hardship that they have the inability of a primary dwelling to have and include a basement. One, they could have built it if they had wanted to spend the money to waterproof it, and they had other workarounds. But the supposition should have been in buying that property that they could build 6,000 square feet. And I'm not sure the rationale behind setting a precedent that, well, you can actually build 20% over 6,000 square feet if it has a wet basement. If that's what you want, write it into the code. That's certainly not what it says. There are arguments in the application about the neighboring properties, which are larger, but to me, that's not really a viable excuse. I mean, if one person essentially wants to circumvent the law, that doesn't give everyone that same excuse. I mean, each one should be on its own merits. When the adjacent property came before the board, I wasn't aware of it. I think there's kind of a flaw in the notification process, which says, I think 200 feet. Now, we live within 200 feet of Pandion, but you took it on a tax lot basis, not on a development basis. I don't think there are any other properties that were 200 feet within, I think it's lot 3. So nobody would have been notified. I was only notified because we found the sign in the bushes because it had blown off the telephone pole. Otherwise, there would have been no notification, and you'd be spared my my narrative here. As for the dehumidification, I mean, I think in the application they asked to condition the house. What you're saying now is you'd want to dehumidify the house. And maybe you can clarify that, because a dehumidification system is very different than air conditioning. So I think that should be clarified, exactly what kind of mechanical system you're proposing. And they should, of course, know that the compressors, I think, are subject to the side yard setback, if I'm correct. So it's unclear if you could really put it to the south of the house. I don't have your survey in front of me. But you know, houses were built for many years without air conditioning and without dehumidification, and they were perfectly fine. So that this is all of a sudden a humidification emergency requiring that you condition space that wasn't supposed to be conditioned, I think is probably not totally accurate. Again, you know, the building's there. It's not going to get any bigger if you permit it to be conditioned. The lot probably isn't going to be any more crowded, but I think caging the application in that it's for the good of the homeowner is disingenuous, and it's for the good of the developer, who's clearly had a hard time selling the property. So I think it should be considered. And I'd be happy if you would sell the property. I'd like to have a neighbor who is a person and not an LLC. I just wanted to put my perspective on the table as a both neighbor and design professional, and trying to read between the lines of this application. And that's, I'll spare you.
Sir, may I ask, what is your street address?
53
53 Burns Road?
Burns.
Thank
We're
you.
basically across from the tennis court.
Is there anyone else that wants to chime in, Christina?
No one asked in advance.
Mr. Kriegel, are you finished? Just want to make
Yes.
sure, okay.
Thank
I'll
you.
spare you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your attention.
No one else at Zoom land wants to respond, make a statement here?
I didn't see that.
Okay, ma'am, would you like to respond to what the gentleman said, or do you just want to let it ride here?
I would just say that I don't believe anything in our narrative indicated that he'd be living there full time. If that was the impression from the address that was listed, I don't believe that we leaned into that excessively in any way. When we submit the plan, the current plans, it will include information regarding what would be proposed to, I guess, in mechanical equipment, like we had already discussed. I would just like to note that we did post the property and then confirm that we reposted it to make sure that it was still affixed. Because of the weather, it might have gotten, attached, but since I was here 2 weeks ago, it was up, and I believe it's still up, so. I'm sorry, I'm just looking at my notes from the folks' commentary.
Did you want to comment on the dehumidification versus the air conditioning?
I will not speak on that until I resubmit the plan, just to make sure that I'm not mischaracterizing what the applicant would actually want, and what he has in mind for that process.
Okay.
But the point is taken. I would say that even if houses were built a long time ago a certain way, obviously the current heat that we get now in this area is a lot different than it was previously. So I think that everyone can agree to that.
And let me ask you,
Sure.
what's the current state of the interior of that building? Is it finished?
It's not finished. It's ready for, right now it's able to be easily modified to allow for the conditioning, but
Is there insulation in the building currently?
it's not insulated currently.
Okay, so there's no insulation, there's no sheet rock, there's,
So it's waiting upon this decision.
Anyone else?
Was there anything else you wanted me to address on his comment? Because I missed something, I don't think I did.
Yeah, I don't know what else you might want to or might not want to address.
I just mean that there was another question that you had based on his comment.
Oh, no, thank you.
And we're gonna know if they want a generator or not.
Yeah, any mechanicals associated
Yeah.
with this, we'd like to see on the plans.
Yeah,
An updated plan, and I think we can leave this open and set a date for continuing the hearing of March, what was it, 26th? Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay, can I have do we need to have a motion for that, Tim?
You're gonna motion to adjourn and continue, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so can I have a motion to adjourn and continue this on March 26th?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
aye.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kriegel.
Thank you
I
very
will
much.
not be here for that meeting.
Okay.
I'm on a cruise. My wife.
All right, we have, next up, we have 9 West Thomas Street at Davidson. Christina, will you read us a little synopsis of the notice?
No, that I hear, read the whole. Hearing on the application of Ned and Catherine Davidson, owner of 9 West Thomas Street, South Carolina, New York, which is in Zone C and is more specifically described on the Suffolk County Tax Map 700-15-C-26. The applicant wishes to convert existing basement to a 1-bedroom accessory dwelling unit and is seeking a variance from the Town Code, Section 133-17A1B.
Someone here to present?
Hey, guys, I'm Matt Sherman here for Sherman Engineering and Consulting. I'm here with Kate Davidson, the property owner. I helped her with this application and also the Health Department sanitary upgrade, which would be, if this is approved, which will be coming on the heels of it. I'll give you a real quick rundown of what the application is, and then Kate's got information for you as far as, you know, the driving factor behind the project and what their need is as a family on the island and what's causing this application. The reason why they have to get a variance is being on Thomas Street. They're in C zone. Minimum lot size on C zone is 40,000 square feet. In order to have an accessory dwelling unit, the town code requires you to have in C zone at least 30,000 square feet, so 75% of what the zoning would minimum would be. Kate's house, Kate's property is what's it at? 28,400 square feet. So they are 5% shy of where they need to be in order to be able to have an accessory dwelling unit. So with that said, that's why we're here, is for that 5%, that variance for 5% on lot size. As mentioned a second ago, if this is approved, we will then, our next step will be to go to the health department to get an approval for a change of their existing sanitary system to an IA sanitary system. The existing house is 4 bedrooms. The ADU will be an efficiency, so it's not, there isn't a separate bedroom in the ADU. It's basically just one room with a kitchen and a bathroom. About 600 square feet is the size of the ADU in the basement. We're going to be installing.
It would be like a studio apartment, Matt?
Yeah,
Is that more or
exactly.
less? Okay.
Yeah. There is a new egress window is going to be installed. There's no variances required for the egress window. It's well within the minimum setbacks. That egress window will allow for this to be a legal living space in the basement of the building. The house itself right now is just slightly under 1,840 square feet. So this would be a 30% increase approximately in the total size of the house, bringing it up to, you know, just over 2,400 square feet. It's a modest house on a modest piece of property, and it's a modest project in order to just try and make it a little bit more livable situation for Kate and her family. If the board has any specific questions for me with respect to the code or the design or anything like that, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, I will turn it over to Kate to give you a little bit of background on what the driving factors are on the project.
Matt, I just have one quick question.
Yes.
The project itself will in fact require a new IA system, right?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
There's no not getting the IA if this is approved.
No, not at all, because the existing septic system for the house is good for up to 4 bedrooms, 4-bedroom house. So by adding the extra bedroom, which is the ADU, that triggers the requirement to upgrade to the sanitary system. So it's not like if this gets approved, they can't just decide, you know what, we don't want to put in a IA system. They will be obligated to.
Anyone else have a question for Matt?
No, not right.
No,
Kate, did you want to speak to the board? Please state your name for the
My
record.
name is Catherine Davidson. I'm the owner of 9 West Thomas Street. So our driving force behind this project is affordable housing. We've been on this island. I grew up here. We've been back on the island since 2009, raising our family. My children had moved 10 times by the time they reached high school. There was a time where every 6 months we were having to move because we could not find secure, affordable housing that would meet our needs. I do have 2 grown children that, as we all know, the cost of living right now is too great for them to go out on their own. They want to be independent adults, but they're not quite there yet. So by providing this space for them, we're giving them the independent living area. We're still, in a space where they can afford and contribute to our household. And if that's not a space that they need at any one point, there's always teachers in the district looking for housing. There's, dozens of people locally that need an affordable unit. And this would be available.
After you give the kids the boot or?
Yeah, it's something that has to happen, yes, but not just yet.
Does anybody have any questions for Kate?
so you're actually gonna, my question, you're definitely gonna go down for the stairs and the garage to get to the bottom,
So we currently have a door in our garage that
right?
goes directly to the stairway leading down into the basement.
Okay,
So it'd be very easy to put up a wall dividing that space, so it would be a private entrance.
okay. That was my question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the egress is required because you can't use the stairway up through
Right.
the garage, right? Okay.
Right.
Anyone else?
What's the ceiling height down there? I'm just curious. Do you know? Matt, do you know?
I think it's
Yeah, we had
standard
to-
height, I don't know exactly what that means.
It's just under 7.5 feet.
Oh, okay.
Anyone else? Tim, is there something you think, were we missing anything here?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, I have one
Yeah,
question.
go ahead.
With this extra living space, do you plan to alter the driveway at all to accommodate more cars potentially?
So we actually have, I believe it's 20 to roughly 20 feet of yardage along our side there that's currently kind of used by our neighbor, which they recognize as our property. We might be able to put in a parking space in that space area
Mhm.
without disturbing really anything.
Okay.
We need that reflected, do you think?
I think, yeah, I mean, I think the thing for, in terms of that would just be to maybe, if Matt, maybe you could add something to a plan that shows a little parking area there.
Absolutely. I can have that to you in a couple days. Yeah.
Just to make it, whatever, assured,
Official.
yeah.
Perfect.
Because that's probably not something that we would do until the time came that.
Yeah, but I just said, so that it's in the
Have it
plan.
clean.
Just be on the plan.
Yeah.
Right, and not so much for your children, but should it ever be.
You rent out to somebody else. That they have efficient parking off the street.
All right, anyone else? Okay, let's see, anyone out in Zoom land have any questions? Okay. Pam Demarest?
Yeah, hi, good evening. I just have one quick question about the notary stamp that's on this paperwork. It appears that the wife has notarized the paperwork for the husband's application here. It just seems odd to me. I just wondered maybe perhaps the attorney could address that situation there. And this is a variance for 1,600 square feet, correct?
No.
With respect to the notary issue, it's technically not improper for a spouse to notarize their spouse's signature, but it is generally frowned upon for obvious reasons. So, the board, can consider whether the veracity of what's being notarized is at issue, and that could be repaired with having somebody else notarized. But it's not actually against the law.
Okay.
But it is widely, not best practice.
Okay.
I think it was 600 square feet.
No, so look, the lot is 28,400 and the requirement is 30,000. So they need a variance because the lot is undersized by 1,600 square feet. It's not a 1,600 square foot project.
Right.
Right.
Does that answer your question, Ms. Demarest?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else in Zoom land have a question? No? So, I think we can close this, leave it open to written correspondence. And Matt, as part of that written correspondence, we want to see a parking area reflected in the plan.
Absolutely. Yep, not a problem.
And so if it's all right with everybody, let me just pull up the dates here. We would discuss this at our February 19th work session, which means that we would want to have the written correspondence in by February 12th.
Okay.
Would you guys like an amended poster affidavit notarized by
No,
the party?
I don't think so.
I think in the future, if you have to
Yeah.
notarize something again, maybe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so can I have a motion to close the hearing and keep it open to written correspondence until February 12th, and we'll discuss it on February 19th?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. William Johnson?
Yes.
Thomas Graffinino?
Yes.
Lynn Colligan?
Yes.
Lisa Kreckler?
Yes.
And Phil Diorio votes yes.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'd like to get a motion to close the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.